Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yesterday, I shared with you about going through a situation that I cannot fix. And I know for many of us, um, problems like that can overwhelm us sometimes. So, anyway, I recognized, as I told you yesterday, I could not fix it. And I just prayed about it and I had to set it aside. Well, last night I received a text message from a friend, and the text message said, I am praying for so and so. It was specific. It was the exact problem I'm going through. And I'm thinking to myself, how did she know? How could she know? I hadn't talked to anyone, I hadn't told anyone what it was. But you know how she knew? The Holy Spirit directed her. And because of that, I had what I like to call an encounter with God. God let me know that He had that situation under control. He let me know that He was going to take care of it. I had an encounter with God. Sometimes we have big encounters with God, like the blind man who Jesus healed. He didn't really know who Jesus was, but he said, I know one thing, I was blind, but now I see. He had had an encounter with God. Moses saw a burning bush, and he walked to that burning bush. He got closer to it. He had an encounter with God. Then there was the Samaritan woman at the well who Jesus came and asked her for some water. She had an encounter with God. And then there are times we have encounters with God that are not quite so big. When you have a walk in nature and you look around, you have an encounter with God. When you hold a newborn baby in your hands and you look at creation and you look at the miracle of birth, you have an encounter with God. And when a friend sends you a message saying, I am praying for you, you have an encounter with God. Saints, we are blessed because every day, we have an encounter with God. And you know why I can say that? Because His Holy Spirit dwells within us. And it is through His Holy Spirit that each and every day we have an encounter with God. John 14:16 and 17 says, and I will ask the Father, and He will give you another helper to be with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it neither sees Him nor knows Him. You know Him, for He dwells with you and will be in you. Through the Holy Spirit, every single day, we can have an encounter with God. And God comes sometimes in that small whisper, in those little ways. We have encounters with God. I'm like the blind man. I don't always understand. I don't know always what has happened or transpired, but this I know. Priscilla was blind at one point, but now she sees because she has had an encounter with God. And I invite you to have an encounter with God. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Taste and see Him. Have an encounter with Him. Invite Him into your life. Have an encounter with God. Trust Him with everything. And know as a believer that He is always with you and He will never forsake you. Why? Because He dwells within you. Have a blessed day, and may you today have an encounter with God.